Astra Travelers, and welcome to a special episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast, where we'll be talking about the Myers-Briggs personality types and their relations to us and some of our favorite Genshin characters.
Are you looking to analyze some visuals for our podcast? Well, join us over at our cute little website, talesofteyvat.com, where each episode has pictures and blurbs from Tiff, our blurb master extraordinaire.
Am I also a Bork master?
Yes.
Bork.
We're all Bork masters here.
While you're on our site, also check out our other special episodes of our little shorts from over the past 2 years.
Finally, feel free to email us at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let us know what you think of this week's episode, what personality types you think are most accurate for us, our Genshin characters, or, if you hated this episode, you can also let us know, I guess. That'd be fine. Additionally, travelers can feel free to join us over on our Discord server, Shades of Teyvat, if you're interested in getting away from the holidays. I know that this could be a tough time for some people, so if you're looking to have a good old time with Genshin lovers, feel free to join us if you're 18 plus at bit.ly/Shades of Teyvat. That's all lowercase and no spaces. All right. So we've talked a lot throughout season 5, about the Myers-Briggs personality test and how it relates back to some of our favorite characters. And in Shades of Teyvat, we actually had a whole conversation with some other travelers about personality types from this test. So we're going to be talking specifically today about our personality tests, and we found some cool little resources that suggest Genshin characters and their relations to some of these personality types. Now, of course, nothing is official because their characters aren't real as much as we'd like them to be.
They're not?
I know.
Hold on.
I'm sorry, guys. I know. Of all people, me saying that too, right? I'm in love with a piece of chalk.
I'm in love with a piece of chalk.
His name is Albedo, who is not on this list, but was very close to being on this list until Brandon retook the test. I was shook. I was like, Brandon, am I in love with you?
And then he's like, no, let me go take this again.
Then Brandon retook it. Was like, absolutely not. I was like, this
absolutely
makes sense.
Not only am I not twinkish enough.
But yeah, so we're going to be talking a little bit today about our tests and how they relate back to some Genshin characters and other characters, and if we think it's accurate or not.
And just from the top, I just want to do a little disclaimer that we are going to be using or citing some sources that we might have used to take our little Myers-Briggs test. One of those is 16personalities.com, which is just like an easy one that I've used before. And I just want to say we don't endorse 16personalities.com or any other website where we use for Myers-Briggs. We don't even necessarily endorse the Myers-Briggs test itself.
Yeah.
We know that those can be questionable. We have not researched any of these websites and their ties to anything else. This is 100% for fun, should not be used to make any life decisions. And just remember, you are not defined by a personality quiz. And we do not stand behind anything we're about to say.
I believe nothing that's going to come out of my mouth.
This is all nonsense. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I mean, it's the truth, though. Like, we teach that Thanksgiving in the U.S. is a time to kumbaya and love one another when it was a time of murder. So everything's a lie. Don't listen to anything.
I do like, though, that when retaking the test, because like you said, we did it early on. We've made mention it in past seasons as well. But retaking it, and then Brandon found an article that he sent to me and just wrote, "Did your therapist write this for you?" And I was like, she could have. It was kind of creepy.
And honestly, I'll say too, like, I had everyone's personalities tests written down from many years ago when I asked everyone to do it. And Brandon made us retake the test prior to recording this episode to make sure that we were taking the most accurate versions of ourselves according to this test. And I was taking the test going, oh my God, if I'm not the same personality type, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I've been taking this test since I was like 13 and getting the same results every single time. So I was so scared the whole time. I was like, I will have an identity crisis, even though Brandon just said that this is real.
Yeah, the thing that we just said, do not do that.
Just like the sky in Teyvat. It's all fake.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, but if you do as we do, let us know what you get.
Yeah.
Let us know. We are curious.
Yeah. And how much you really feel like it really encapsulates you.
And my result did change, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
I would like to say that we're all introverts, which is fun. And we all
Yeah.
had different personality types, but we're all turbulent. We all were dash T.
Yeah. I'd like to say that I'm on the cusp of an introvert extrovert. Like I think I was like almost 50-50 on it. I was like, well, I can kind of understand that. I might not always go up and talk to people, but they always come up and talk to me because I just have one of those faces.
Mm.
Mhm.
So like the Uber guy, my Uber Eats delivery guy the other day, even though I wasn't even supposed to see him, he was just going to leave it on the porch. Somehow I ended up in a 10-minute conversation and I know what he's doing for Thanksgiving now. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, I do. I have noticed that about you. You're not like the most talkative person, but when the opportunity arises, you will just like chit chat with people that even that you don't know, and like
Yeah.
it's very comfortable for you to do. So I guess it does make sense. I was a little surprised at first, but when I really thought about it, I was like, okay. Meanwhile, I'm 90% introverted.
I'm also a cusp. I think I was only like 53% introverted, something
Mhm,
like
makes
that.
sense.
Brandon was like, you have to retake the test because I think you're an extrovert. I was like,
I
wow.
know. I mean, it's surprising. You talk a lot and you are not shy. So it's surprising that you're an introvert a little
You've
bit.
never seen me at a party, Brandon.
I have because I've had one at my house that you were at, and it wasn't really a party.
It was a
wasn't
small
really a
party.
but
I knew everyone there, basically.
I know that you can be shy, but generally speaking, I don't think of shyness as like your natural state.
I wouldn't think of that for any of us because we have a podcast, which I think is like the craziest part. Like, you literally put 3 introverts on a podcast.
Yeah.
And we're like, hi.
Turbulent ones at that.
Yeah.
And so we use 16personalities.com, and that site does this extra metric. So you get your 4-letter assignment, and then there's a dash A or a dash T, which is assertive versus turbulent. And I personally think that just from reading the descriptions of like what the assertive versus turbulent means, it kind of sounds like a measurement of your neuroticism, which is sort of like the old school term that would relate to in psychology. So I thought that was funny because we're all at least a little bit turbulent. We're all at least a little bit neurotic.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was funny too, that we're like, we have a podcast and we're all introverted and neurotic. Okay.
Woo!
Makes sense.
82%, baby.
And I did want to take a second too, just for travelers who don't know what the fuck we're talking about. The Myers-Briggs personality test is a online test you could take that through 16personalities.com. I'm sure there's some other ones, but there are 16 results you could get, and it basically takes 4 categories, and you could be one thing or the other, and it will rate you on a chart based on your answers. So you could be introverted or extroverted, and it will tell you where on the line you fall. So like I was 53% introverted. Then it will look at your mind and say, are you more intuitive or are you more observant? Are you more a feeler or a thinker? Are you more a judger or prospecting? Which Brandon, you mentioned before we recorded, used to be perceiving.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what the difference is and why they felt like they had to change perceiving to prospecting, but they did. So it goes through these 4 categories, decides where you fall on the scale, and then picks basically like one of these 16 different personalities, and it's like a bucket and a category that you fall into.
Yeah.
But you know what's actually really cool? So but until you brought it up a few years ago, I'd never actually even heard of it. It just wasn't on my radar. So I knew very little about it. It's from the 50s. Like that's when she's one of the originators, Myers, because there's 2 Myers-Briggs. Yeah, it's from the 1950s, 1960s. And it made that even more amazing. Like psychology is just such a crazy thing. But to find that like, while there's some of those language changes over the years, it's still this test that's still used to kind of put people on a certain path.
Yeah, and I will say this is probably one of the more popular of the personality tests. Like people tend to find this one more accurate than some of the others, and it's probably because there are so many categories that you could default into here. You know, there's some that you could take that they might have you take in your career where it's like, okay, you're one of these 4 colors or one of these 4 animals. I know I've taken those at work, so managers have a better idea of how people work. And those are very limited in the options you get, and a lot of people don't necessarily feel like they see themselves in those 4 categories because of how specific they can be. While they're great for managers to help understand their people, they could be unhelpful for a lost soul trying to find guidance and then feeling misled in who they are. So I do feel that while we don't, again, endorse this necessarily, I think 16 personalities is more likable by so many people because it's more diverse and allows you to feel more unique in your results. But that being said, we're going to quickly overview each of us and who we are, and then we're going to kind of take a deep dive into each of the types. So normally we do this in ABC order, and I didn't want to do that this time. So we're going to go backwards. So we're starting with Tiff today.
So ABC, but CBA.
Yeah, but it's TFB.
That sounds like its own personality type.
Oh, no.
So I am an INFP-T, which is the mediator. And the mediators are poetic, kind, altruistic people, always eager to help a good cause. Which at that little sentence, I was like, I wasn't totally. Although I am also an Aquarius, which kind of fits that as well.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no.
An INFP, their strengths are, well, I guess my strength is not really even just theirs. Kind of lead into self-awareness, growth-oriented, authentic, creative. It's actually what I do for a living. Emotionally intelligent, highly empathetic, perhaps to a fault, inspiring, value-driven, and adaptable problem solver, which I'm not really sure if that one's me. And then I have some weaknesses, which I was like, F you, 16 personalities, for pointing out the truth. I'm a perfectionist, only in certain areas, but I am. Idealistic expectations, which my idealistic expectations have gone all the way out the window probably since I was 22. So at one point I'm not anymore. Procrastinator, I was like, I'm procrastinating while I'm taking this fucking test because I was working. Self-doubting, yeah. Emotionally sensitive, yep. Conflict avoidance, which I was like, maybe my therapist really did write this. So yeah, I really felt very close to that. But I am 54% of introverted, 75% on the intuitive side of things. I am 76% on the feeling opposed to the thinking, 68 on the prospecting versus judging, and then 82% turbulent, which was my highest number of my neuroticism, which I agree with.
You're like, they're right.
The perfectionist part of me was like, I didn't get 100. I really actually was like, should I take this again? See if I can get 100. But yeah, a lot of it leans toward the side of, kind of going with your brain and your emotions opposed to, not that I throw out fact, but I'm the type of person who any situation I'm like, but maybe it could be this too, or maybe it could be that. It's something that has been pointed out to me quite often. So I felt like it was actually pretty spot on.
Okay. So some people in IRL / characters as 16 personalities said that INFPs tend to be.
You're going to piss me off because you're going to say it first.
Bjork.
I hate Bjork. Bjork.
Yes.
I hate
Bjork.
her.
The only
I
thing
hate
would
her
be
so
better is
much.
if Prince was on that list too.
So no one knows that's listening, but Tiff hates Bjork, has hated Bjork for many years.
Yeah.
And I like Bjork, and I love to torment her with Bjork references. Any kind of attention I can draw to Bjork, I do if it's in front of Tiffany. I think it's so funny that she hates Bjork so much.
She bothers me so much that she looks like the actress in the movie Amelie, and I didn't watch the movie because I was like, that it's Bjork. No, I'm good. I can't. I'm gonna take the goose dress and throw her out the window.
Well, besides the hated Bjork, according to 16personalities.com, Tiff is also in the likes of William Shakespeare and Lance Sweet from the hit TV show Bones. And some other people you are assumed to be, based on some research I did, from Star Rail, you are Robin and Firefly. You are Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. You are Rin from Inuyasha, since we always make Inuyasha references, aka I make Inuyasha references. And you are Will from Stranger Things.
I can see that one.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I totally see that one in so many aspects. I've never been to the Upside Down, though. So, but
Not yet. You better be prepared. So I guess I'm technically next in ABC order. So I got an INFJT, which is the advocate. Advocates are quiet visionaries, often serving as inspiring and tireless idealists. Lit. My strengths are that I'm insightful, principled, passionate, and altruistic and creative. My weaknesses is that I can be sensitive to criticism, reluctant to open up. I'm also a perfectionist. I like to avoid the ordinary, and I'm very prone to burnout, which I'm cool with. My breakdown, according to my little chart, I was 53% introverted, 64% intuitive, 68% feeling, 79% judging, and 79% turbulent. And according to 16personalities.com, I am in the likes of Martin Luther King Jr., Marie Kondo, Lady Gaga. And according to some of my research, I am assumed to be related to from Star Rail, Ruin Mei, and Jingyuan from Final Fantasy VII, Red 13. From Inuyasha, Kikyo, and the Shikon Jewel. They gave this little jewel a personality on the site I was looking at, and I had to include that. And from Stranger Things, I'm Susie.
Oh my God. Oh, that is so awesome.
Wait, which one is Susie?
The one that sings the Never Ending Story song with Dustin, his girlfriend from summer camp.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I love it.
And Brandon.
Oh, yes. All right. So I used to be an INTP, but by 2%, I am an INTJ now.
Which felt better.
Yeah, when I look at the descriptions, it does match me more. People with INTJs are intellectually curious individuals with a deep-seated thirst for knowledge, tend to value creative ingenuity, straightforward rationality, and self-improvement. They consistently work toward enhancing intellectual abilities and are often driven by an intense desire to master any and every topic that piques their interest. Like maybe doing a Genshin Lore podcast. Strengths and weaknesses. My strengths are I'm rational, I'm informed, I'm independent, I'm determined, I'm curious, and I'm original. And my weaknesses are I'm arrogant, I'm dismissive of emotions, I'm overly critical, I'm combative. And my favorite is that I'm socially clueless.
That is like way too specific. Like, what?
It's because I'm isolated or disconnected from other people. I really love it. Just the way that they categorized it. Socially clueless. My percentages are 89% introverted, 63% intuitive, 69% thinking, hey, 51% judging, so still close to that prospecting. And I am 51% turbulent, so I'm like right on the cusp of neuroticism.
Brandon, do you think that Tiff and I are introvert posers based on our percentages versus yours?
I don't think you can be a poser when it's not the best one. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
if it was way better to be introverted, then maybe someone could make that argument, because I do think that you're so close. But, I mean, you could say I'm a judging poser.
True. Nouvellette over here. So, Brandon, according to 16personalities.com, you are the Christopher Nolan, the Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Okay.
and the Katniss Everdeen of the podcast.
No, I'll take Katniss.
Love it.
In Star Rail, it is assumed that you would be Acheron. You would be Acheron and Dr. Ratio.
I just got Acheron. Very excited. And I'm very Dr. Ratio when I'm in a bitchy mood. That's like me in a bad mood.
You just throw chalk at people?
Yeah, and I just think I hate everyone. Everyone's stupid. Get out of my way.
You are also Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, Shishomaru from Inuyasha, and Henry Creel from Stranger Things.
Ooh.
I'm fucking Vecna?
You are.
Wow.
I'd like to believe you're like Vecna though before Vecna. You know, like
Oh, so I was like playing with spiders. I hate spiders.
you were intrigued, Brandon.
And it's a psychopath. Got it. Got it.
Oh God. No, just go back to Dr. Ratio. Just stick there. Just stay with him.
No, one thing I've noticed, a lot of the fictional characters that are assumed to be this personality type are villains.
But okay. Let me say something though about villains, right? Just in general, like villains, in my opinion, are proof that nature versus nurture, like the whole argument about what's more important, that it doesn't make sense because they are both just as important, right?
Mhm.
Because Henry Creel, if he had been treated well as a kid, might not have been a villain in the end.
Maybe.
And I think, we're going to talk a little bit about the Genshin characters in your personality type in a few minutes, and you will see too that you have... No, they're not all villains. And some of them have turned a leaf.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to actually go back to Tiff. So, Tiff, Miss INFP over here, you had quite a few Genshin characters.
I did. And I felt very strongly about a good bit of them. So there were two different resources that we had looked at, and they were 90% the same for me. So Fischl, Fremine, Collei, Siegewien, Sayu, Layla, Kachina, Ororon, and Chichi. So I am Fischl. I might not be as delusional, but I am Fischl. If Fischl and Fremine had a baby, it would be me.
Oh, I love that.
I guess my first question for you, Tiff, would be like, you felt like INFP did like resonate with you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this personality type resonates with all of those characters? Or do you think like you question any of those?
I do. I question Collei and Sayu, actually.
Oh.
Layla, I was like a little bit on the fence with. Kachina, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Ororon, we don't know him too much yet. He's kind of on that cusp, and I was like, oh, and totally. Chi-Chi, I mean, granted, she's dead, but that kind of, I think it's still the same. But Fischl and Fremine did make the most sense. But yeah, I didn't. I was kind of half and half.
I feel like Collei totally fits into yours as well. Those would be my top three. Yeah.
I actually think Collei fits the most.
Really? Have I given you pitas? Is that what this is?
Not yet. We did know what AFIs were. I think that with Collei, what might be throwing you, Tiff, is like Collei is so young and she's so like immature still because she is literally just learning how to read and write. Like she was like very traumatized, and I think that her personality is starting to come out more and more in the game. But I do think in her heart, she represents a lot of the same things as Fremine and Fischl as well.
Yeah. I mean, look at the descriptors, like the strengths, growth oriented, emotionally deep, loyal, and adaptable problem solver. Like you're starting to see parts of her in like recent events come out that you can tell like she's growing into an INFP.
And I think too that the fact that your personality type is typically like looking for growth for yourself. I mean, Collei was like literally like, I'm gonna die because of these voices in my head. And she was able to find help, and now she's trying to kind of give back while growing herself as well. Yeah. And something that we forget about Collei, because it's not shown in the game and it's not shown in the manga, is how she got her vision, which fits a lot of these strengths. She saw someone who was hurt and being attacked by lions and knew that even though she didn't have a vision, she had to help. So she was being empathetic, generous. She totally was not realistic in this approach because the only thing that really saved her and the person was her getting her vision. And she was very eager to please because she was like, oh my God, Tignari will be so proud of me. Meanwhile, Tignari showed up and thought that she was dead. So I do think like her vision story, she was so proud of herself for being able to say, I've come so far to get this vision when I was creating snake monsters out of miasma from my brain.
Okay, I could see it. What about the two sleepyheads, Sayu and Layla?
I don't agree with Sayu, really. I don't know. Like,
I'm not a little ninja. I'm not a Mujina.
You're a Tanuki.
I'm not a Tanuki.
You are a Tanuki. Sayu isn't. That's why.
I mean, I guess she is growth oriented.
She would like to be as tall as you, Tiff.
Yeah, she would.
I don't know what she would be, but I mean, maybe this fits the best, but I don't know. She just seems like really kind of like standoffish, but it's also because like her whole personality in the game is like, I want to sleep and I want to grow taller and I want everyone to leave me alone.
Yeah.
Growth oriented.
Yeah.
I think Layla definitely fits the category because her whole like dual personality and having her like sleep personality is all about being perfect and getting the work done and like being studious, and she's trying to grow herself as a student and as an academic, and
Also, she's self-doubting and conflict avoidant.
and I would say emotion avoidant as well. Like she doesn't want to deal with emotions. She just wants to get down to the academics, like open the book and get going.
Mhm.
I think, like, personally, if I had to pick my top 3 for you, it'd be Collei, Fremine, and Kachina.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I totally would have, I would have been like, go do your own thing. I'm going to make you lose. I think I do that in Fortnite all the time.
Oh, no.
I'm like, yeah, you guys play. I'm just going to make you lose.
But, like, also, I guess kind of like that, like, Kachina is like, she knows that she can do it, and she's got, like, that passion to get shit done, and she wants to help. But then she also is like, I'm a baby. I'm 12. I don't know why anyone wants my help. She's being emotionally vulnerable there too.
Mm-hmm.
And did you find that the personality test overall felt like accurate for you?
Yeah, there was very little that I disagreed with. I really felt like it was crazy how close it was. And like there were points and I go figure, self-doubting. I was doing the test going, wait, is this the real answer? Or am I like trying to push myself toward an answer? Like, is this the way I wish that I was, or is it the way that I actually am? Which I explained, I think was actually just a part of my personality. It's like, yeah. But yeah, I really did feel like it was very, like, there were a lot of pieces that I agreed with. There was just very few that I didn't.
One of my favorite things the website said about your personality type was, here's the truth. Knowing and accepting yourself is the first step to moving forward and making positive changes in your life. And I was like, that is so inspiring. Thank you, 16 personalities. I was like, oh, we'll all take that with us, but Tiff the most because it's on her page and not mine. Is there anything else you wanted to add about how you feel about the Genshin characters or anything like that?
Like I said, I really did feel the Fischl and Fremine very much. I liked the Siegewind idea because I love how Siegewind just wants to help, but she's also just like, here's some tea and a sticker. Like, I feel like I'm very distractible. Like my coworker likes to say, like, he can be in a meeting with me and then all of a sudden he's like, did a shiny butterfly just go past you? Because he's like, you are not paying any attention to me. I'm like, yeah, maybe. Like, I'm not flighty or like I am engaged in a conversation, but I mean, it was a work conversation, so it gets a little boring. But I can go off on a tangent and I can get very distracted. My best friend for more than half of my life, it's probably one thing that she probably wants to punch me with most of the time. If we're outside and talking, I'll be like, oh my God, look at the squirrel. And it could be in the middle of the conversation. And she's just like, oh my God, stop talking about the birds and the squirrels. I don't care what kind of bird it is. But I tell her.
I love that. All right. And Brandon, you feel like that's pretty good? I felt like everything was pretty accurate for Tiff from what I know of Tiff.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, then it's my turn because I always pop in the freaking middle of this ABC order. I feel like INFJ is definitely me, which is frustrating sometimes. And the characters that it said were most relatable to me via the same 2 sources Tiff used were Nahida, Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, Xingqiu, the Abyss Twin, very specifically, Ayaka and her wet socks, Guizhong, Sitali, and Fossilors. Which, I don't know, I like...
Some of these are a little iffy, I think.
Which ones do you think are if...
On one hand, I can see why someone would say the Abyss Twin because they are sort of like standing up for the victims of the cataclysm, no matter what. but altruism is sort of supposed to be one of your strengths, right? And I feel like the Abyss twin partakes in a lot of sus behavior that could challenge that a little bit. But overall, I can understand why someone would say that. Also, for the same sort of reason, I mean, Focalor, that is a bit much because it's like Focalor is trying to get justice in a way and is standing up for what she thinks is right. But she's also sort of staring in the face of like other people like Farina that she's screwing over. So I think that it's a little bit of like I don't know about that because like, wait, your strengths are insightful, principled, passionate, altruistic, creative. So again, the altruistic thing doesn't fully describe Focalor to me. So yeah, I'm a little iffy on that one.
Okay. I felt the ones that I connected to the most were Guizhong, Xingqiu, and Nahida. And I feel like Xingqiu is like a weird one to throw into this, but I feel like he's the closeted INFJ because he wants so badly to just fight injustices and be out there saving lives. And instead he's stuck inside dealing with silk trade. And I think him like writing his books and getting that creativity out and being able to sneak out and do the guha stuff shows him trying to like better himself and trying to change the world, even though he is like kind of locked away. And I feel like because of that, Xingqiu can kind of represent like the modern restraints that we might have, like me and other people in this personality type might have, like, there's so much that I would like to do and like even with this podcast, right? But what are the restraints? Money, time, the fact that I have to go to work, like these modern things that keep you from like making the difference that you could. And I think Xingqiu is like a great representation of that, where Nahida's an archon, Rukkhadevata was an archon, Guizhong was a god.
See, I actually thought Xingqiu was one of the best fits for you.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
I thought so. I actually leaned more toward Wet Socks aside, Ayaka and Rukkhadevata as the closest to you. I didn't feel that Nahida was a good fit. I feel like she's less emotional and more like factual.
I mean, she's pretty emotional about the dookie. I get that way too. I get it.
I was okay with Nahida, but I do think Xingqiu, Ayaka, and Rukkhadevata were the best fits.
Okay.
I don't know if we have like enough on Guizhong. I could see it. I'm not opposed to Guizhong or Citlali. I mean, Citlali is like a little bit.
She's the turbulent.
Yeah, that would be your turbulence, I guess.
That's the introvert too, I guess.
Ayaka, even though Ayaka's like way more subdued than you, like I'm guessing Ayaka might be like an assertive one, like an assertive INFJ instead of a turbulent.
But I feel like Ayaka is like when you're forced to be on the extrovert side and do something,
Yeah.
You're like, I've got to make this.
She's like you in a pageant.
Oh my god, imagine me in a pageant. No.
That's Ayaka.
I would hate
And you're
that.
doing the wet sock challenge as your talent.
No.
But you would totally do a random ass dance in some river for somebody too if it was just going to make them happy. Like you totally would. You'd take your socks
get your
off.
socks wet.
No, I would take the socks off. I've lived near enough the rivers my life, the Hudson River, to take my socks off in there. I'd rather get exposed directly to the soles of my feet to the poisons of the river than through my socks.
But Xingqiu, I think, popped out at me the most because, I mean, it's just like in the description for the INFJ, it's like they're somewhat reserved, but they are fueled by a profound internal passion, stimulated by deep reflective thought and an enormous amount of empathy, which again is why I don't think Focalor really fits and arguably the Abyss twin. But Xingqiu very much is that. Like, even though he puts on the show that he needs to for, the family business, he's like out living his dreams as a hero late at night when no one knows he's doing it,
Me doing the podcast in the middle of the night. Well, no one in my family gets what a podcast is, I feel. They're like, okay.
He also has a twink boyfriend.
Do you really think Shang Yun's a twink?
Of course he is. That's
is?
a twink.
Yeah.
Imagine,
I'm a twink?
Imagine Shang Yun in short shorts.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. All right. You're right. His baggy clothes distracts from the fact that he is a twink at heart. A twink with an ice pop and a dream.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, Brandon, you're up next on The Price is Right.
Ooh.
I have no car for you, so don't ask for it.
So the INTJs in this game are, I really don't like this. Capitano, A, Dainsleif, Alhaitham, Scaramouche, Mona, and D-Luke. Now, some of these I can get into, like, I'll be a D-Luke. That sounds good. I would love to be Mona. I don't know how accurate that is, but I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Alhaitham, I remember when we did the Alhaitham episode, there were certain things about him that I did identify with a lot when I was like reading about him. I was like, oh, that sounds like me. Not the like being good at it stuff, but just like his standoffishness and reliance on rationality and like basically being socially clueless. I really connected with him on that. Some of the others I'm like a little scared of.
I felt like the ones that the three that were like the best for you, in my opinion, were D-Luke, Alhaitham, and Dainsleif. But I feel like we don't know enough about Dainsleif too, so it's like that could be some of my like presumptions about him, of course.
Okay, I'm not mad at that.
And then I guess if I had to pick another, there's a part of me that wants you to be Scaramouche so bad because you're really good at like quick like quips at people.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when you're friendly
Witty.
with them. Yeah, you're very witty, and I feel like Scaramouche can be very like quick with like the Traveler or Nahida and like people that he gets along with.
Yeah.
But you're not Scaramouche, you're Wanderer.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We'll make that very clear. Like,
And I don't see you as A except for the fact that you're a lesbian. That's the only part.
Accurate.
I struggled with A. I struggled with Capitano. Like, I was like, what? Like, are you rotting from the inside, Brandon? And I don't know.
I believe I am. So that part's accurate.
Maybe I should change you back up on that list.
The only thing with A I can really identify with is fuck this. I'm going to the Plane of Euthymia. Screw this. I'm out, you guys. Bye.
And I felt like, and I mean no disrespect by this, but I felt like D-Luke was actually pretty good for you, except for the fact that I don't think you would put on a mask and go out in the middle of the night and save people.
Absolutely not. I'm too lazy.
Brandon already does that. You've never heard of the New Jersey Prowler?
The New Jersey Devil.
The New Jersey Devil is Brandon.
He's imported from Oklahoma.
If you put on a D-Luke wig, people might confuse you as the New Jersey Devil.
Oh my God.
But I feel like with D-Luke, again, it's the wittiness, the sarcasm, but the unrelenting friendship, like that side of it still works for me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and I have always said that I see you as Ningguang. So I was a little disappointed that one didn't show up because I really felt like she should have been there.
The true lesbian.
Yeah, the true lesbian.
And I think for me, the one personality trait for an INTJ that really like stood out to me was that it says INTJs aren't always ready to share their feelings, but it would be a mistake to say that they don't have them or don't have deep running feelings. And like, you're not just going to open up to anyone. You're willing to do it, but like if no one asks, you're kind of like, well, fuck you, right? Like,
I get better at it as I age too. I've noticed.
Like a
because
fine
I give
wine.
less fucks. I'm just like, here's how I'm feeling. I'm just gonna let it out.
I've noticed that like if you actually like once I was getting because I've only been your friend for a few years, like I'm a newer person in your life, so I feel like I could say that as we got closer I was like, oh, I have to ask Brandon how he's feeling, and then he'll tell me, and I like, you know, for the INFJ in me is like, yes, I can change his world. No. But I feel like with some of these characters, like I always think to myself with Dainsleif, like if we actually just ask Dainsleif a question, he might actually give us an answer, but we never ask him. Poor Dainsleif over here just got like, you know, beat up by our sibling and like we did nothing about it. And same for Alhaitham. Like in the Alhaitham episode, we talked a lot about it. Alhaitham has a lot of emotions. He just chooses to keep them to himself. And I would say the same for D-Luke. I mean, D-Luke especially, man, he's got family trauma running deep in his blood, but he's very calm and cool and collected, and he's calculated and he knows what he's doing. But if you were to sit down and like have a glass of wine with D-Luke, I think he'd open up to you. And that's how I feel with you, is like you're very like reliable and trustworthy, and you get shit done. You don't let those emotions get in the way like I might or Tiff might.
And I'm vengeful. That's the other thing that relate to Dilucon. I'm vengeful. I will go on a vengeance tour.
Scaramouche.
Scaramouche.
Oh yeah, I guess I do have that in common with Scaramouche too.
Capitano might be on a vengeance tour. We don't really know
Yeah,
yet.
we don't know enough about him. That one's hard to say.
Yeah.
And I think especially he's even more of a mystery now that we know. It's funny. Now that we know more about him, he's more of a mystery. So that one's a little difficult. And the biggest problem I have with Mona is Mona totally believes in astrology.
Yeah, and you don't.
Hey, at least she admits the sky is not real.
Yeah.
I liked with your personality type, one of the quotes it said was, INTJ personality types would rather be successful than constantly validated. And that is so true with you. Like, I could tell you 9,000 times how good you do at mastering this, and you're like, I know. Just let it be good, like I don't feel like you appreciate it when we like thank you and stuff like that, but I don't think you need the validation where like,
well, with the mastering, it's not like I would absolutely, the turbulent part of me would need that validation if it was more involved than what it is, because I'm really just using filters, not to give away trade secrets.
Trade secrets of Tales of Teyvat.
I didn't like come up with like the way to make it sound that good. So if it's something that I really do like comes like directly from me, then I am turbulent, quote unquote, enough to need the validation.
That is such like an Al-Haytham answer.
Yeah. I mean, I really do have that little twinge of neuroticism where I do need to be validated. But one thing in terms of my job, the one thing that is crazy is there's one bullet that said that we're not simply satisfied with doing a job. People with this personality type go a step further and continuously contemplate how to improve it, making them incredible, blah, blah, blah. And that is something that I have been told at every job I'm at. And that's sort of what helps me move up the ladder and things like that in my jobs is I am like the person who thinks outside the box to make improvements.
Oh, that's awesome.
I would agree with that from what I've seen. And are there any like final thoughts you guys have about the test at all, or like your results or anything like that?
No, it's something fun to do. Oh, I was going to say this trend started this season when I took the test on behalf of Hazo because there were so many words describing Hazo's personality. So yeah, I took the test as Hazo and I got, just in case anyone wanted a recap, a little reminder, I got ENTP-A, so assertive ENTP, which is the debater archetype. And then I took the test for Nouvellette and I got an INTJ-A. So that's the same as me, the architect archetype, but he got the assertive one. But I also think that he might be an ISTJ, which is the logistician. Like if you look at the description of architect and logistician, both of those describe Nouvellette, I think. So I might have been biased when I took it. Like some of me might have slipped out, and maybe that's why I got architect. He might actually be a logistician. I forgot to do Euthymia, but when I did take it again in preparation for this episode and pretending to be Euthymia, and I got an ESFP-A, which is an entertainer.
Oh gosh, that's so funny.
It says, as an entertainer, you're the life of the party, bringing a vibrant energy to every room you enter. Your zest for life is contagious. You have an uncanny ability to turn even the most mundane moments into exciting adventures. You live for the here and now, embracing each day with enthusiasm. Your charm and social prowess are your superpowers. You have a natural talent for reading people and situations, allowing you to adapt effortlessly to any social setting. Assertive entertainers typically feel confident about handling what life throws at them and are unlikely to worry much about stress, either how to prevent it or how to reduce it. So that's what I got for her. There might be some other ones that are sort of in the same arena that might fit her a little better, but that was like when I took a stab at it. Someone else might want to try. And then I also took the test for Yao Yao because we weren't even talking about this when we did the Yao Yao episode. And for her, I got an ESFJ, which is the console archetype.
Oh, that's so funny, actually.
And that is the warm heart and steady hand that keeps your social circles, workplace, and family running smoothly, which is absolutely perfect for her.
So accurate. Oh my God.
Genuine care for others coupled with your practical nature makes you a pillar of support in any community. You have an uncanny ability to sense others' needs and a strong drive to meet them, often putting the welfare of those around you above your own. So that I felt very good about for Yao Yao.
I love that you took all these tests and like someone on the back end at 16 personalities is like, looking into the data and they're like, why did this person take this
Yeah.
test 87 times?
They're probably like, there's a whole family using the same computer to take this test. Like, I guess they don't have cell phones.
Or they're going, wow, this person's really in denial about their personality results, man. But that's really it for the day. We'd love to hear what other travelers got. And, you guys listen to us a lot. Do you think that these are accurate for us? Is there a different character that you think relates back to us? We'd love to hear about it. You can email us at talesoftevatpod@gmail.com and let us know. You can also give us a follow and message us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or Twitter, Tales of Teyvat. Additionally, you can join our Discord server that we have in conjunction with the Shade Chamber podcast. It's bit.ly/Shades of Teyvat. But I also want to take a second just to say for our United States listeners and travelers that we hope Thanksgiving is a somewhat peaceful time for you. And it's not as turbulent as if when all three of us sit down to record because of all of our turbulent personalities. And we know that this is the jump start to the holiday season. It can be really tough on some people. And we hope that the podcast can continue to bring you joy. We're super thankful for all the travelers who are listening, to all of our friends who are supporting us, and to the people in our life who care. And we just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Not wrap up, as we're getting halfway through season 5. Starting our 3rd year with the podcast. We're just very grateful for everything.
And I'd like to say thank you for the both of you. I do love that, we're friends. It's not, we weren't strangers when we came into this together, but it's our nice thing that we do. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm like in a cool kids club with the two of you.
Aw.
I'm not a cool kid, but I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, none of us are the cool kid, which makes us the cool kid. So we're all the cool kid.
That's true. But no, I'm very grateful for you guys too. And of course for Al, who isn't on the pod anymore, but had spent so many great, wonderful episodes with us and still plays Genshin and Fortnite with us on the side because she is our friend.
Yes, I'm thankful for y'all too.
But most importantly, I'm really thankful for Chalk today. And that's it, guys. That's the end of the episode.
Okay.
Thank you, travelers. Thank you for everything. Until then, safe journeys, travelers. We'll see you next time.
Bye, socially clueless nerds.
I'm pretty socially clueless. You should see me.
Socially clueless nerds.
I'm certified socially clueless.
I'm gonna get you a button that says that.